The emergency lights flickered inside the damaged dropship as Kate Rogers checked her scanner again. Nothing had changed in the last 10 minutes. The air outside was breathable but filled with strange spores her equipment couldn't identify. She brushed a strand of brown hair from her face and looked at the 5 other survivors. "Any luck with the communications?" she asked. Sam Baker shook his head. The engineer had been working on the damaged radio for hours. His hands were covered in grease and small cuts. The crash fried most of the circuits. "I might be able to boost our emergency beacon, but that's it." Kate nodded and turned to Jack Daniels. The military liaison stood by the dropship's bent door, his rifle ready. His face showed no emotion, but Kate had worked with him long enough to know he was worried. "We need to salvage what we can before nightfall," Jack said. "Whatever caused our systems to fail might come back." 6 hours earlier, their mission had been simple. Land on Tertius 9, collect samples, and report back to the USS Horizon waiting in orbit. The planet had seemed perfect for Earth's needs, rich in rare minerals and apparently uninhabited. The long-range scans had shown no signs of intelligent life, but something had grabbed their dropship during descent, like an invisible hand yanking them from the sky. Now 6 of their 12-person crew were dead, and the survivors were stranded in a dense jungle of blue-green plants that seemed to watch their every move. Maria Collins checked her weapon by the broken viewport. "I don't like this place," she said. "It feels like something's watching us." Kate looked at the security officer. "The scans show no large life forms within a mile of our position, just plants and small insects." "Scans can be wrong," Maria replied. "Trust your gut, not just your tech." The other survivors, Dr. Alan West and pilot Diane Kelly, were sorting through medical supplies and rations. Alan's face was pale, his hands shaking slightly as he counted pill bottles. "We have enough meds for about 2 weeks," Alan reported, assuming no infections or major injuries. Diane looked up from her inventory. "Food packs will last 10 days if we stretch them." "Water for 6, Jack nodded. "The USS Horizon will send a rescue team when we miss our check-in. That's in about 12 hours. We just need to hold out until then." Kate wasn't so sure. The same force that had downed their ship might prevent any rescue craft from landing. She kept this thought to herself. "We should gather some samples while there's still light," she said instead. "That's what we came for, after all," Jack frowned. "Not a good idea to split up?" "We won't go far," Kate assured him. "Just around the perimeter. If this planet has what Earth needs, all this won't be for nothing." After some argument, Jack agreed to let Kate and Alan collect samples near the crash site while the others secured the dropship for the night. The 2 scientists stepped carefully through the strange forest. The plants seemed to bend away from them as they passed, then lean in behind them. "This is amazing," Alan whispered, his scientific curiosity temporarily overcoming his fear. "The flora appears to respond to our presence, almost like it has a nervous system." Kate nodded, taking readings. "The mineral content is even richer than our orbital scans suggested. This single acre could power Earth's industries for a year." They worked quickly, filling sample containers with soil, plant matter, and small insect-like creatures that buzzed around the blue-green leaves. The sun of Tertius 9 was already dipping below the horizon, casting long shadows through the jungle. "We should head back," Kate said, checking her watch. "It will be dark soon." Alan nodded, but then froze. "Did you hear that?" Kate listened. At first, there was only the gentle rustle of leaves and the clicking of the insect creatures. Then she heard it, a deep, rumbling sound like distant thunder. But there were no clouds in the purple-tinged sky. "Probably just atmospheric disturbance," Kate said, not believing her own words. "Come on." They hurried back to the dropship, the strange rumbling growing louder. By the time they reached the others, the sound had become a distinct roar that seemed to come from all directions at once. "What is that?" Diane asked, her eyes wide with fear. Jack had positioned everyone inside the dropship and sealed the damaged door as best he could. "Whatever it is, it's getting closer." Maria checked the scanner. "Still no large life forms showing up? But there's..." Something weird about these readings. Kate looked over her shoulder. The scanner showed unusual energy patterns pulsing through the ground beneath them. Not biological signatures, but something else entirely. It could be some kind of underground creature, Sam suggested. Or maybe this whole forest is one giant organism. The roaring grew louder as darkness fell. Through the viewport they could see the jungle moving. Not just swaying in the wind, but actually shifting position, like the plants were changing places. I saw something, Maria suddenly shouted, pointing to a gap between the trees. Something big, they all pressed against the viewport. In the deepening gloom, massive shadows moved between the trees. The shapes were tall, at least 10 feet high, with multiple limbs and glowing points that might have been eyes. That's impossible, Kate whispered. The scans. Another roar shook the dropship, this one so powerful they could feel it in their bones. It wasn't just sound, Kate could sense it somehow, like it carried meaning. They're surrounding us, Jack said, his voice calm despite the situation. He readied his rifle. Everyone, prepare for contact. The creatures drew closer to the ship. In the dim emergency lighting, Kate could make out their forms more clearly now. They weren't anything like Earth animals. Their bodies seemed almost translucent, with complex internal structures visible through their skin. Sam worked frantically to boost their distress signal. If I can just increase the power ... A sharp scraping sound came from the hull. Something was testing the dropship's outer shell? They're trying to get in, Diane whispered. The emergency lights flickered once, twice, and then went out completely. In the sudden darkness, the only illumination came from the soft glow of their scanner screens and the strange lights outside. Powers. Failing, Sam reported, his voice tight with tension. The scraping at the hull grew more insistent. Multiple points of impact now, as if several creatures were working together. What do they want? Alan asked, his voice barely audible. Kate stared at her scanner, watching the unusual energy patterns grow stronger. A sudden realization hit her. I don't think they're animals, she said slowly. These energy patterns, they're too regular, too controlled. Before she could explain further, the dropship's emergency power failed completely, plunging them into total darkness. The last thing they heard was another roar, closer than ever, but now it seemed less like a threat and more like... It almost sounds like they're trying to talk to us, Kate whispered into the darkness. No one answered. They waited in silence as the creatures continued to surround their disabled ship, roaring into the night of a world that was supposed to be uninhabited. Morning came with an eerie silence. The roars that had kept the crew awake all night suddenly stopped as the first rays of Tertius IX's sun filtered through the jungle canopy. Kate was the first to notice the change. They're gone, she whispered, checking her scanner. The strange energy readings had faded but not disappeared completely. At least they've backed off. Jack moved to the viewport, his rifle still ready. The forest looked normal now, if any alien landscape could be called normal. The blue-green plants swayed gently in the morning breeze. No massive shadows, no glowing eyes. We need to venture out, Jack said after a long moment. Our supplies won't last, and we need to find water. Sam had managed to restore some power to the dropship systems, but the communications array remained dead. 3 days had passed since the crash, and there was no sign of rescue from the USS Horizon. They should have found us by now, Diane said, voicing what everyone was thinking. Something must be blocking their sensors, same as whatever crashed us. Maria checked her weapon. Or they were attacked too. The group fell silent at this possibility. If the Horizon was gone, they were truly alone on this planet, millions of miles from Earth. Let's focus on what we can control, Kate said firmly. We need water, food, and we need to learn more about whatever is out there. They prepared to leave the relative safety of the dropship. Jack took point with Maria covering the rear. The scientists, Kate and Alan, stayed in the middle with Sam and Diane. Each carried a small pack with essential supplies and sample containers. The jungle felt different in daylight. The plants seemed to pulse with life, turning to follow their movement, Small flying creatures darted between the trees, their wings shimmering with iridescent colors. "Over here," Alan called out, kneeling beside a strange formation. "Look at this." The group gathered around what appeared to be a perfectly geometrical pattern carved into a flat stone. The symbols were unlike anything in Earth's databases, flowing lines that connected in complex ways. "It's not natural," Kate said, running her hand over the smooth surface. "This is evidence of intelligence," Jack frowned. "If someone made this, where are they now?" They continued deeper into the jungle, finding more stones with similar markings. Kate documented everything, her excitement growing despite their dangerous situation. This was the first concrete evidence of an alien civilization humans had ever encountered. A small stream provided the fresh water they desperately needed. While the others filled containers, Sam wandered a short distance away, drawn by a metallic glint among the trees. "Guys," he called, "you need to see this." They rushed to his position and stopped in amazement. Half buried in the ground was a piece of metal, not from their ship, but something much older. Sam carefully brushed away the soil, revealing an alloy that didn't match any known element. "It's incredible," he said, scanning it with his device. "This material shouldn't exist. The atomic structure is, well, it's not possible according to our physics." Jack glanced around nervously. "Save the science lesson? Can we use it?" "Maybe," Sam replied. "If I could study it more." A low rumble interrupted him. The same roaring sound from the night before, but fainter now, coming from deeper in the jungle. "We should head back," Maria suggested, raising her weapon. Kate shook her head. "No, I think we should follow it." "Are you crazy?" Diane asked. "Those things could tear us apart." "If they wanted to hurt us, they would have broken into the ship last night," Kate argued. "I think they're trying to communicate, and I think they've been leaving these signs for us to follow." After much debate, they decided to follow the sound, moving cautiously through the increasingly dense vegetation. The roars led them to the base of a small mountain, where a dark opening marked the entrance to a cave. "No way," Maria said firmly. "We are not going in there." But Kate's scanner showed the energy signatures were strongest inside the cave. "Whatever these beings are, this is where they live. This might be our only chance to make contact." Jack considered their options. "We go in, but at the first sign of trouble, we run. No heroics, no scientific curiosity overriding safety." "Clear?" Everyone nodded. They activated their lights and entered the cave, weapons and scanners ready. The passage sloped downward, the walls smooth as if carved by tools rather than natural erosion. The air grew cooler, with a slight vibration they could feel through their boots. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber that took their breath away. Crystal formations grew from the ceiling and floor, glowing with soft, multicolored light. But it was what stood in the center of the chamber that froze them in place. 3 tall beings waited there, their bodies translucent like living glass. Each stood at least 10 feet high, with 4 arms and a body structure unlike anything from Earth. Their internal organs were visible through their skin, pulsing with energy rather than blood. "Don't shoot," Kate whispered as Jack raised his rifle. "Let me try something." She stepped forward slowly, hands raised to show she carried no weapon. The tallest of the beings mirrored her gesture, raising its 4 arms in what seemed like a peaceful greeting. Kate felt a vibration in her chest. Then a low rumble filled the chamber, the same roaring sound they had heard before. But now, standing close to its source, she could sense patterns in it, like speech, but felt rather than heard. "They're talking," she said with wonder. "The roars, their language." The being stepped closer, its glassy body reflecting the crystal lights. It pointed to itself and emitted a short, deep vibration. "Veshkar?" Kate said, somehow understanding. She pointed to herself. "Human." The being, the Veshkar, gestured for them to follow deeper into the cave system. After a brief hesitation, the group moved forward, entering a tunnel lined with the same strange metal they had found in the jungle. The tunnel opened into an even larger space, and the humans stopped in shock. Before them stretched an underground city, a vast complex of crystalline structures and living technology that pulsed with light and energy. Dozens more Veshkar moved about the city, some turning to stare at the newcomers with multifaceted eyes that glowed with intelligence. "It's incredible," Alan whispered. "An entire civilization hidden underground." Their guide led them to a central structure where 7 Veshkar sat in a semicircle. Their bodies were more ornate than the others, with complex patterns flowing beneath their transparent skin. "I think this is their leadership," Kate said quietly. The central being rose and approached. It placed a crystal device on the ground between them. The device hummed, then projected a 3-dimensional image above it, a map of the galaxy. With one point pulsing brightly. Kate recognized the star system immediately. "That's Earth." The being nodded, then made the image change. Now it showed ships, not human vessels, but something predatory and sharp, approaching both Earth and Tertius 9. "I don't think we're the only visitors they've been expecting," Jack said grimly. "And the others don't look friendly." The Vishkar elder emitted a series of deep vibrations that resonated through the humans' bodies. Kate felt a chill as she began to understand their meaning. "They've been watching us," she translated, not sure how she knew. "And they're afraid. Not of us, but for us, something is coming." The Vishkar elder made another series of vibrations. This time, Kate felt images forming in her mind. Scenes of destruction, planets burning, and entire species vanishing. The message was clear. A dangerous enemy was hunting the Veshkar. "Across the galaxy? They call them the Drakari," Kate explained to the others. "They're some kind of predator species. They've wiped out Veshkar colonies on dozens of worlds." Jack stepped forward, studying the holographic display. "And now they're coming here?" "Why?" The elder Veshkar pointed to Kate's scanner, then to the crashed dropship in another projected image. Understanding dawned on Kate's face. "They detected our ship," she said. "Just like we found this planet, the Drakari can track our technology. We led them right to the Veshkara's hiding place." A heavy silence fell over the group. The humans exchanged guilty looks, realizing their exploration mission might doom these peaceful beings. "We need to contact our ship," Jack said firmly. "Warn them and get their help." The Veshkar elder nodded and gestured to one of the younger members of their species. This one was slightly smaller, with swirling patterns of blue light running through its transparent body. It approached Kate and made a gentle vibration. "I think this one wants to help us," Kate said. She pointed to the Veshkar. "Do you have a name we can use?" The being made a sound like rolling thunder, impossible for human vocal cords to replicate. "How about we call you Echo?" Kate suggested, "since your sounds echo in our chests when you speak." The Veshkar, Echo, seemed to like this. It nodded and gestured for the humans to follow. Echo led them to a chamber filled with technology unlike anything they had seen before. Crystal structures housed flowing energy, and metal components moved on their own as if alive. Sam's eyes widened in amazement. "This is incredible," he whispered. "Their tech is part biological, part crystalline energy. No wires, no circuits as we know them." Echo touched a crystal panel, and it responded by projecting a 3-dimensional image of their crashed dropship. Another touch showed the USS Horizon in orbit, still circling the planet. "They're alive!" Diane exclaimed. "But why haven't they rescued us?" Echo made more vibrations, which Kate struggled to interpret. "I think there's some kind of shield around this region. The Veshkar use it to hide from the Drakari. It's why the Horizon can't find us, and why our communications failed." "Can they lower it?" Jack asked. "Just long enough for us to get a message through?" Kate relayed the question, and Echo responded with cautious movements. "They can, but it's risky. If the Drakari are already in this system, lowering the shield might reveal everyone's location." Sam studied the Veshkar technology closely. "Maybe we don't need to lower the shield completely. If I could understand how their communication system works, I might be able to modify our emergency beacon to punch through on a narrow frequency." Echo seemed to understand and brought out more equipment. For the next few hours, Sam worked alongside the Veshkar, merging human technology with alien crystals. The others explored the underground city, marveling at the peaceful civilization that had remained hidden for so long. Jack, however, remained suspicious. He pulled Kate aside in a quiet corridor. Something doesn't add up. If they're so advanced, why do they need our help? And how did they learn about Earth? Kate frowned. What are you suggesting? I found something while exploring, Jack said, keeping his voice low. A chamber with images of Earth, not recent ones? They've been watching us for centuries, Kate, and I think they might have deliberately caused our ship to crash. Before Kate could respond, a low alarm vibration ran through the city. Echo rushed to find them, its body pulsing with urgent light patterns. What's happening? Kate asked. Echo led them back to the central chamber where the elders waited. The holographic display now showed multiple objects entering the planet's atmosphere, ships with sharp, predatory designs. Drakari, Kate whispered. They're here. The Veshkar city erupted into ordered chaos. The peaceful beings moved quickly, gathering supplies and young ones, heading toward deeper tunnels. They're evacuating, Alan observed. They have sanctuary. Levels further down? The eldest Veshkar approached the humans and made a series of vibrations that Kate felt more than heard. They're offering to take us with them, she translated, to their deep sanctuaries. They say we'll be safe there until the Drakari leave. Jack shook his head firmly. Running and hiding hasn't worked for them so far. These Drakari have hunted them across the galaxy. What makes them think hiding deeper will help now? Echo made a sad vibration. Kate nodded in understanding. They're pacifists. Their entire philosophy forbids violence. They've survived by hiding, not fighting. Jack looked around at the advanced technology surrounding them. All this power, and they won't use it to defend themselves? He turned to Echo. How long have your people been running? Echo's response needed no translation. The Veshkar had been fleeing from the Drakari for thousands of years, losing colony after colony, their numbers dwindling across the millennia. Jack straightened his shoulders and addressed the elders. Directly, with respect, hiding hasn't worked. It's only delayed the inevitable, but there's another option. The elders stared at him with their glowing eyes. Jack continued, his voice growing stronger. Humans aren't pacifists. We've been fighting since we crawled out of the mud. It's what we do. We fight, we adapt, we survive, and we can teach you. The Veshkar elders vibrated among themselves, clearly disturbed by the suggestion. Echo moved closer to Kate, making questioning vibrations. He's right, Kate told Echo. Humans have spent most of our history fighting, often against each other. It's not something we're proud of, but it means we know how to defend ourselves. Sam joined them, having finished his work on the communications device. I've modified our beacon. We can contact the horizon now, but it will give away our position to the Drakari too. Jack nodded grimly. Good, let them come. He turned back to the Veshkar elders. We crashed on your world by accident. Maybe we led these predators to your door. But maybe that's not an accident either. Maybe we're here because you need something you've never had before. What's that? Alan asked. Jack's eyes were hard as steel. Allies who know how to fight back. A tremor ran through the underground city as the first Drakari ships landed on the surface above them. Time had run out for discussion. The Veshkar. Elders vibrated once more, a sound of sorrow and resignation. Echo stepped forward, separating itself from the other Veshkar. It stood beside Kate and made a vibration that needed no translation. It would stay and fight. Slowly, other younger Veshkar moved to join Echo. Not many, perhaps 20 out of hundreds, but enough to make the elders vibrate in distress. Looks like we've got ourselves a rebellion, Jack said with a grim smile. Now, let's see what kind of weapons we can make with your technology. Echo led them to a sealed chamber deep in the city. When the doors opened, Kate gasped. Inside was an arsenal of devices, not built for war, but with potential that Jack immediately recognized. Your people may be pacifists now, he said to Echo, but your ancestors weren't always so peaceful, were they? Echo's vibration confirmed it. The Veshkar had once been warriors too, long ago before choosing a different path. The knowledge had been preserved but locked away, forbidden for millennia. Until now. Jack moved quickly through the Vishkar armory, examining devices that had remained untouched for thousands of years. The weapons were beautiful in their way, curved crystal and living metal, designed to channel the same sonic energy the Veshkar used to communicate. "These aren't just weapons," Kate said, watching Echo activate a small device that pulsed with blue light. "They're extensions of their natural abilities." Sam picked up what looked like a staff made of the strange metal. When he touched it, it hummed to life, vibrating at a frequency that made his teeth ache. He quickly set it down. "Sonic weapons?" he said. "They use sound waves as weapons," Jack nodded. "Sound can be deadly with enough power behind it. It can rupture organs, shatter bones." He turned to Echo. "Can these be modified to work with our weapons?" Echo made an uncertain vibration, but its body language suggested possibility. Kate translated. "They've never tried combining their technology with ours, but Echo thinks it might work." "We don't have much time," Jack said. "The Drakari will find us soon. Sam, you and Echo see what you can do with these sonic devices. Kate, keep working on contacting the horizon. The rest of us will prepare defenses," while Sam and Echo worked. On the weapons, Jack took Maria, Diane, and Alan back to the crashed dropship. They worked quickly, removing parts from the engines and power systems. "What exactly are we doing?" Alan asked, helping Jack detach a fuel cell. "Making bombs," Jack replied simply. "If these Drakari are coming to hunt, we'll give them something they don't expect." Maria smiled grimly. "Traps, I like it." They set charges around the jungle approaches to the Veshkar city, hiding them under foliage and in tree hollows. Anything to slow down the hunters and give them time. Back in the underground city, Sam had made progress. With Eco's help, he had connected their remaining human weapons to the Veshkar sonic technology. The result was crude but effective. Rifles that now fired concentrated sound waves alongside their normal projectiles. "It works," Sam said proudly, demonstrating a modified weapon. "The sonic pulse disrupts nervous systems. It should at least stun the Drakari, maybe even kill them if they're sensitive enough." Kate approached with news of her own. "I got through to the horizon. They've been searching for us, but the Veshkar shield blocked their sensors. They've also detected the Drakari ships. Captain says they're moving to a defensive position, but they can't help us directly with the Drakari forces between us. So we're on our own," Jack said. It wasn't a question. Echo made a series of vibrations. Kate listened carefully, then turned to the others. "Echo says there's something we should see." "Something about the Drakari?" Echo led them to a small chamber with a crystalline device in the center. When activated, it showed three-dimensional images of the Drakari. The humans fell silent as they got their first clear look at their enemy. The Drakari were nightmares. Made flesh. Standing 7 feet tall, they resembled reptilian predators with natural armor plating across their bodies. Their heads were elongated with rows of sensory pits that suggested heightened perception. Powerful limbs ended in claws, designed for tearing prey. Most disturbing were their eyes, black, unblinking, and coldly intelligent. "They evolved as apex predators," Kate said, studying the images. "Everything about them is designed for hunting." Echo made more vibrations, and the images changed to show Drakari hunting techniques. They worked in packs, using sophisticated coordination. They could track prey across vast distances, seemingly able to sense fear itself. "Great," Maria muttered. "Super predators with built-in armor and tracking abilities." Jack studied the images carefully. "Every predator has weaknesses. These sensory pits, they must be for detecting sound or vibration. That's how they track so well. Which means they might be especially vulnerable to sonic attacks," Sam realized. Their heightened senses could be overloaded. A distant boom interrupted them. One of their traps had been triggered. The Drakari had found the crashed ship and were moving toward the hidden entrance to the city. "They're here," Jack said grimly. "Time to see if our modifications work." The small group of humans and rebel Veshkar gathered at the main entrance tunnel. Jack distributed the modified weapons and gave quick instructions on their use. The younger Veshkar, following Eco's lead, took up positions with sonic devices of their own. "Remember," Jack told them, "these hunters expect prey to run and hide. They don't expect prey to fight back. Use that surprise to your advantage." Another explosion rocked the tunnel, another trap triggered, closer this time. "They're moving fast," Maria warned. "And they're not slowing down much." Jack turned to Kate. "Tell Echo and the others to stay back until we need them. Let's see what these Drakari are made of first." Kate, Jack, and Maria took forward positions near the cave entrance. Sam stayed with Echo and the Veshkar, ready to provide technical support if the weapons malfunctioned. Alan and Diane remained in the control chamber, monitoring the Drakari movements through the Veshkar sensors. The humans didn't have to wait long. A terrible screeching sound echoed through the tunnel, the hunting call of the Drakari. It was designed to freeze prey with terror, to paralyze with fear before the kill. "Steady," Jack whispered. "They're trying to scare us." 3 shapes appeared at the tunnel entrance, moving with predatory grace. The lead Drakari was larger than the others, its natural armor marked with what looked like ritual scarring. It paused, sensing the trap, but hunger and confidence drove it forward. "Now!" Jack shouted. The humans fired their modified weapons. Regular bullets bounced off the Drakari's natural armor, but the sonic pulses that followed hit with devastating effect. The lead hunter screamed, a sound of pain rather than hunting fury, and staggered back. The other 2 Drakari leapt forward, moving faster than seemed possible for creatures their size. Maria's weapon caught one in mid-jump, the sonic pulse, sending it crashing into a wall. But the third reached Kate, knocking her weapon aside with a powerful swipe. Kate rolled away as the Drakari's claws tore through the space where she had been. Jack fired again, hitting the creature from the side. It turned toward him, hissing with rage, when a new sound filled the tunnel. Echo and the rebel Veshkar had joined the fight. Their sonic weapons fired in perfect harmony, creating a wave of sound that visibly distorted the air. The attacking Drakari convulsed as the sound overwhelmed its sensitive systems. For a moment, the humans in Veshkar had the upper hand. Then more Drakari poured into the tunnel, at least a dozen. They had learned from the first attack and were now wearing some kind of protective devices over their sensory pits. "Fall back," Jack ordered. "To the second position." They retreated, deeper into the tunnel where Sam had prepared a choke point. As the Drakari pursued, Echo activated a crystal embedded in the ceiling. A barrier of sonic energy sprang up, holding the hunters back momentarily. "It won't last long," Kate said, helping. Sam set up a larger sonic emitter. "They're adapting too quickly?" From the communications room, Diane's voice came through their portable radios. "More Drakari ships are landing. At least 3 more hunting parties approaching from different directions." Jack looked at their small group of defenders. 6 humans and 20 young Veshkar against what might be hundreds of Drakari hunters. The odds were impossible, but as the first Drakari broke through the sonic barrier, snarling with triumph and bloodlust, Jack saw something in the alien's eyes. He hadn't expected uncertainty. These predators had never encountered prey that fought back with such determination. For the first time in their hunting history, the Drakari faced a question they had never needed to ask before: what happens when the hunters become the hunted? They told her to suit up for war. She wore flip-flops and took the commander's badge. Part 5. The victory over the Krathul fleet should have been a time for celebration. Instead, 3 days after their return to the Defiant, Commander Hayes received orders from Earth Command. The message was clear and cold. Tactical Officer Samantha Miller was to be removed from duty and sent back to Earth for a full review of her actions. "This is ridiculous," Hayes said, pacing his office while Sam sat calmly in a chair, eating an apple. "You just saved possibly millions of lives by breaking about 50 regulations," Sam pointed out. "They were bound to notice eventually." Hayes stopped pacing. "I won't let them do this." "I'll speak to Admiral Reyes directly," Sam shrugged. "Do whatever you want, but I think we have bigger problems right now." "Bigger than your career?" Hayes asked. Sam took another bite of her apple. The Crothel are building something. Something big. Before Hayes could ask what she meant, alarms blared throughout the ship. All senior officers to the bridge, a voice announced over the speakers. Emergency situation. On the bridge, a large screen showed a massive Crothel structure appearing at the edge of Earth's solar system. It looked like a giant metal ring with spikes pointing inward. What is that thing? Someone asked. A gravity manipulator, Sam said. Quietly, everyone turned to look at her. It's their doomsday weapon. They can use it to implode entire planets. The room fell silent. Lieutenant Perry was the first to speak. How do you know that? I've seen the plans, Sam said. They were in the data we retrieved during the Europa mission. No one else could read their language, but I've been studying it. Hayes stared at her. And you didn't think to mention this? Before? I didn't think they'd build it so quickly, Sam admitted. We must have hurt them worse than I thought with our last attack. They're getting desperate. A communication officer spoke up. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. Command, they're calling an emergency session. The main screen switched to show a room filled with grim-faced military leaders. Admiral Reyes sat at the center. The situation is critical, Reyes said without preamble. Our scientists estimate we have 6 hours before that device is fully operational. Once it is, Earth will be its first target. The discussion that followed was chaotic. Some argued for an immediate all-out attack. Others wanted to evacuate as many people as possible. No one had a plan that seemed likely to succeed. Throughout it all, Sam remained unusually quiet. She stared at the screen showing the Crothel weapon, her mind working in ways the others couldn't understand. Finally, Hayes noticed her silence. Miller, any thoughts? Sam looked up. They're overthinking it, she said. Excuse me? Admiral Reyes said, her eyebrows rising. The weapon uses quantum entanglement to create a gravity well, Sam explained. It's complex, but the principle is simple. We just need to break the pattern. And how do we do that? Reyes asked. Sam stood up. I need a shuttle. And I need some unusual supplies? Before anyone could question her further, she walked off the bridge. Hayes hesitated only briefly before following her. He found her in the hangar bay, already preparing a shuttle for launch. What are you doing, Miller? He demanded. Getting ready to save Earth, she replied without looking up from her work. But I need your help. What kind of help? Sam finally looked at him. I need you to trust me, completely, even when what I'm about to do seems crazy. Hayes studied her face. In the months he had known her, Sam had broken rules, ignored protocols, and driven him nearly insane with her casual approach to military discipline. But she had also been right, every time. What do you need? He asked. Sam smiled. Beach balls, kitchen appliances. Random stuff from the recreation room. And as many pairs of flip-flops as you can find. Hayes blinked. You can't be serious. Dead serious, Sam said. The Crothel weapon works by creating perfect patterns. We need to introduce enough random variables to break those patterns. It sounded insane, but Hayes found himself nodding. I'll get what you need. An hour later, the shuttle was loaded with the strangest collection of items ever taken into battle. Beach balls in bright colors, toasters and blenders from the ship's kitchen, board games, sports equipment, and a dozen pairs of flip-flops in various sizes. As Sam prepared for launch, Hayes made a decision. He unpinned the commander's badge from his uniform and held it out to her. What's this for? Sam asked. You're in command now, Hayes said. This mission is yours. Sam stared at the badge. I don't need that to lead. No, Hayes agreed. But it sends a message. To the crew, to Earth Command, and to the Crothel, we're doing things your way now. Slowly, Sam took the badge. She didn't pin it on her uniform, but instead slipped it into her pocket. God help us all, Hayes murmured. Sam grinned. God helps those who help themselves and wear comfortable shoes. What followed was the most unconventional military operation in human history. Sam broadcast her plan on all channels, not caring if the Crothel heard. She called for civilian ships to join the effort. explaining what they needed to do in simple terms that anyone could understand. The result was a chaotic mess of vessels, military ships, cargo haulers, even tourist cruisers, all converging on the Crothel weapon. Each carried a random assortment of items to be released at specific coordinates from the bridge of the Defiant. Hayes watched the operation unfold with a mixture of hope and terror. It looked like madness. Ships moving in completely unpredictable patterns, objects floating in space seemingly at random. "It will never work," Lieutenant Perry said beside him, but Hayes wasn't so sure. "Look at the Krathol ships," he said, pointing to the screen. The alien vessels were moving erratically, as if confused by what they were seeing. They fired weapons, but the shots went wide, missing the human ships entirely. In the middle of it, Ol was Sam's shuttle, approaching the gravity weapon directly. She had loaded it with the most random collection of all hundreds of flip-flops in every color, programmed to be released in a pattern only she understood. "What is she doing?" someone asked as the shuttle neared the massive ring Hayes held. His breath breaking the pattern, Sam's shuttle released its payload. Hundreds of flip-flops tumbled through space, each embedded with a tiny phase disruptor similar to the ones they had used before. They floated toward the weapon, seemingly harmless. The Krathol ignored them, focusing instead on the larger ships. It was their mistake. When the flip-flops reached the ring, they attached themselves to its surface. One by one, the phase disruptors activated. The weapon's perfect symmetry began to falter. Energy flowed unevenly through its structure. "It's working," Hayes whispered. The gravity weapon began to pulse with unstable energy. The Krathol ships nearby broke formation, trying to escape. Some made it. Others were caught in the growing gravity distortion. Sam's shuttle was the last to pull away, barely escaping as the weapon collapsed in on itself. The resulting implosion created a brief, brilliant flash of light, then nothing but scattered debris. Earth was saved. 3 days later, Sam stood in the main hall of United Earth Defense Force headquarters. The room was packed with military personnel and government officials. Admiral Reyes stood at a podium, addressing the crowd. "In recognition of extraordinary service and innovative tactical thinking that saved our planet, I hereby promote Samantha Miller to the rank of commander." Sam walked forward to accept the promotion. She wore a clean uniform for once, but true to form, bright pink flip-flops still adorned her feet. His commander's badge was pinned to her chest, gleaming under the lights. As applause filled the room, a reporter called out, "Commander Miller, will you now start following military regulations?" Sam smiled. "I'm open to suggestions, but there's one rule I'm keeping." She looked down at her flip-flops, then back up at the crowd. "Comfortable feet make for clear thinking, and clear thinking just saved Earth." Admiral Reyes leaned toward her microphone. "I believe we can amend the uniform code to make an exception in Commander Miller's case." More applause erupted. As Sam looked out over the crowd, she caught Hayes' eye. He gave her a small salute, not the formal military kind, but a casual gesture of respect from one innovator to another. Sam returned it with a grin. The war wasn't over, but humanity had found its secret weapon. Not advanced technology or superior numbers, but the beautiful chaos of human unpredictability, wrapped up in one woman who refused to follow the rules, and she had the flip-flops to prove it.